Welcome! The following lesson will provide you with some simple tools to help you enjoy and learn from the things you read. These tools will be very helpful when you're asked to analyze the literature you will be reading during this English course. Almost all stories have some of the same building blocks that can be identified and understood. Knowing what these are gives you a new way to enjoy what you read. It is rather like being able to go backstage at a play. Not only do you have the enjoyment of the performance itself, but you get to see how it has been put together, how the special effects were arranged, how characters may be interpreted by the actors, why events take place in a certain order, and so on. How does the author tell you what you need to know? What kinds of choices has the author had to make? How do these affect the way the story unfolds in your mind? The following toolkit of terms will help you answer questions like these. They will help you to identify the various ways in which the author constructs the story and leads you into it, as well as help you to identify what thoughts the author may wish to convey to you. All this is called making a literary analysis. We will be working with the following terms: setting, plot, character, point of view, and theme. Term 1. Setting. Authors generally have to tell their readers where they are at the start of the story. Often it is also necessary to give the time of the story. This allows the readers to get their bearings and imagine the scene. This is called giving the setting of the story, or setting the scene of the story. In addition, if certain colors or smells are described, this is also part of the setting. Term 2. Plot. Usually, when the term plot is used in literary discussions, it refers to a pattern of actions involving a conflict of some kind. The key word here is conflict. Most stories revolve around some struggle between two or more parts. Think it over for a moment. What was the last action film you saw? It was most likely built up like this. A conflict was introduced that set the action going, the plot becoming more complicated, resulting in rising tension, the tension rising to a climax, the conflict being resolved, and the plot winding down to something like the level of tension it began with. It is the heart of all storytelling. But a good plot is not enough in itself. Good fiction needs more, much more, which brings us to our next term. Term 3. Character. If an author is going to make a reader interested in the story being told, the characters in the story ought to fit the action. That is, in terms of what happens in the tale, the characters should be believable. In addition, the characters may of course be interesting in and of themselves. In sum, there are many ways in which an author can inform the reader about the qualities of characters in a piece of fiction. By their own speech, by their reactions to others, by their own actions, by directly telling the readers, and so on. The important thing is that readers get a believable impression of the character in relation to what happens in the story. There are, however, many ways in which an author can decide to approach a reader with such information, which brings us to our next term. Term 4. Point of view. An author must decide what point of view or voice is desirable when sitting down to write. Another way to put this is the following: who is telling the story to the reader? First-person point of view. The narration of a story by the I person in the story. Third-person point of view. The narration of a story by someone outside and usually limited to what one of the characters, often the main character, can see, know, hear, or experience. Omniscient point of view. The narration of a story as though by an all-knowing observer, who can be in several places at the same time and can see into hearts and minds of all characters. Each of these points of view has advantages and disadvantages according to the kind of story being told and the way the author wants to tell it. Making a choice among them can be the most important choice an author makes when starting one piece of fiction. Often this choice depends in turn on the intention the author has in writing the story, which brings us to our last term. Term 5. Theme. It can be difficult to find the theme or themes for a piece of fiction. There may be many, and readers may disagree which is the most important. Or the readers may see quite different things in a story and come up with quite different ideas of the theme or themes of the story. But theme is about what is the idea, the general truth, or a commentary of life or people brought out through the story. What is the story really about? Does the story have a message to us as readers? Is the story about human nature? Is it about love, hate, friendship? In conclusion then, the terms we have been through can be used to analyze virtually any piece of fiction you read, as well as much of what you see in films and on TV. I hope you will begin to use them to make your reading more enjoyable. Thank you.